What's up, sports geeks? It's your host Josh here, back with another episode, and this is the episode we get to do once a year. Today, I'm joined by Cam. Cam, how you doing?
Good. How are you doing, Josh?
Doing pretty good. We have the Super Bowl preview episode. We have the Super Bowl between the Eagles and Chiefs. This will be posted on Thursday the 9th. Um, so we have Super Bowl on Sunday. And it's going to be a great matchup. I think that we have probably the two best teams in football. Maybe you can make a case for the Bengals or 49ers. I really wouldn't. But you have the Eagles and Chiefs, two best teams in football here, playing for Super Bowl. You have the Eagles favored by a point and a half. What are your first, early thoughts on this game?
I think that 1.5 is probably pretty accurate. I don't see how you could favor the Chiefs in this game. I just think the Eagles have shown that they're the better team pretty much all year. And I know against the 49ers, the quarterback situation was pretty grim really early on. But that 49ers defense was talked about as, if not the best, the second or third best defense in football, and they hung up 31 points on them.
Yeah.
So,
And I think a big point of this is, we saw how dominant Chris Jones was against the Bengals, and that entire defensive line was against the Bengals. Pretty shoddy offensive line. You're not playing the Bengals offensive line here. You're playing the best offensive line in football,
yep.
and they just held the best defensive line in football to nothing.
Yeah.
So, as far as the Chiefs, you're going to have to get creative with coverage or, with some sort of, schemes. You're going to have to scheme like pressure. We talk about like scheming guys open. You're going to have to scheme pressure because your guy against their guy is not going to get pressure.
No.
And if you give Jalen Hurts time, just like any decent quarterback in the league, you give them time, they're going to pick you apart, especially when you have a receiving core of Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Dallas Goedert.
Yeah.
So I agree with you. I think the Eagles should be favored here, but I think you should never bet against Patrick Mahomes.
No.
In the Super Bowl. I mean, you saw what he did on a week of recovery against the Bengals, and he did not look like he was really that injured, despite Tony Romo talking about it every play. You really wouldn't really know he was injured unless if you watch the game on mute, you really wouldn't know he was injured.
Yeah.
And now he's had 2 weeks now since then, so he's going to be, if he's not 100%, he's 98%. And with him and Kelsey, the offense is elite. Now, Philly's been good in coverage all year. Their defensive backs are good. Their secondary's been good. But this is scripting. I don't want to say the word scripting, but this is scripting perfectly for Kelsey to just have an enormous day.
Yeah. And he does it week in and week out. His playoffs, I saw a stat not too long ago. It was he's played, I think, 16 playoff games now, which is like the equivalent of a full regular season. And he's at like 1,700 yards, like 14 touchdowns, and like a ridiculous amount of catches.
I think they're like one touchdown away or maybe two touchdowns away. I think they're one touchdown away from tying Gronk and Brady for the most touchdowns to like between the same quarterback and receiver in playoff history.
That's insane.
And the fact that Mahomes has been playing for what, like 5 years maybe,
Yeah.
at that level for like 5 years is just spectacular. But I don't know. This is going to be a fun game to watch. I think.
I agree.
Last year we had the Bengals who were kind of the Cinderella team to get there, and the Rams who were just this crazy powerhouse team.
Yeah.
This year it's like I don't know who I'm like flipping a coin to decide who I think is going to win this.
Yeah, it's almost disrespectful to call either one of these teams the underdog in this game.
Yeah, like you're either calling the greatest quarterback in the game right now an underdog, or you're saying that a team that hasn't had it. Well, I mean, what's the Eagles' closest game? 31-7 in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. And
I mean, looking at
14-3, two of those losses were with their backup quarterback.
Yeah. 14-3. Two of your losses are with your backup quarterback. Jalen Hurts is 16-1 on the season.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Jalen Hurts gets a lot of credit, and I think that Lane Johnson deserves a lot of it as well, and that entire offensive line. But Lane Johnson, I know we just said two of their losses are without a backup quarterback. There was also without Lane Johnson.
Yeah.
So he was out for a little bit at the end of the season, which kind of paired the exact timetable that he was out was the same as Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh my gosh, Hurts isn't in, and look at this. They're
Eagles are overrated.
Yeah. Well, Lane Johnson's not playing. Look, I mean, he shut the depoy for this year.
Yeah.
I mean, zero pressures.
Yeah.
Like, it's one thing to not give up any sacks, zero pressures. So it's impressive to say the least. But I don't know. I think if I had to go with a team here, I don't even know. If I'm being forced to pick a team here, I would probably go with the Eagles just because of the front four, the back, or the trenches. I think they would dominate the trenches.
Yeah.
But I mean, Hassan Reddick's been phenomenal this year. You then obviously touch on the offensive line already, but I don't like going against the Kelsey Mahomes duo, and Andy Reid. That's a big factor to that as well. But
what's Andy Reid's record when he has a week off to prepare for a game? It's something ridiculous.
It has to be something ridiculous. But he's an elite coach. We're looking at two of the best coaches in the game. Two of the best quarterbacks in the game, two of the best coaches in the game. Definitely going to be a good matchup, though. Who do you think is I know you're pulling that up right now.
So his against the spread coming off a bye is 22-13.
Jeez.
So it's almost a 63% hit rate, and that's against the spreads. You got to think they could be 10, 11-point favorites in some of those games and still win the game and not cover that spread.
Yeah. So who would you say is if you got to choose one person on both sides of the ball here for each team, shading away from Mahomes and Hurts, right? We all know they're going to be impact players. Who do you see on the offensive ball for each team is really going to impact this game?
I think for the Eagles and the offense, I think it's really going to be A.J. Brown.
Mm-hmm.
We saw in that first game, wasn't really a huge factor against the Giants.
Didn't need to be.
They were obviously winning, so they could run the ball. But, I mean, his counterpart, Devonta Smith, had 6 catches, 61 yards, and a touchdown.
Mm-hmm.
A.J. Brown only had 3 for 22. And then against the 49ers, again, didn't really need to be like a huge player in that game, but I mean, only 4 catches for 28 yards.
I think he had 11 targets in that game as well.
He did, yeah. So, and that was against the 49ers where we saw the wide receiver 1 the past 2 weeks against them in the playoffs just light it up.
Yeah.
And it was no one. A.J. Brown's kind of a non-factor. So I think he'll really need to have a good game. I think the Eagles will have to score 28 plus to win this game. So I think A.J. Brown's probably my guy on the offense for the Eagles.
Yeah, I mean, for the Eagles, their run game's going to hit, right? You're going to have 150 plus rushing yards, probably closer to 200. Sanders and Hurts on the ground are going to end up with at least a touchdown, probably like 2. But can you do anything to the air? And A.J. Brown's definitely the key to that.
Yeah.
I would say Miles Sanders would be my point here. Now, I also could lean Dallas Goedert because I think Dallas Goedert's going to be key. If you look at when they do really well, Dallas Goedert's playing really well. Like when they thrive as a team, Dallas Goedert is also thriving and being used a lot. So I think he's going to have a key part in that offense. But I think that Miles Sanders has been very good this year. Like very, very, very. He's been elite this year. Yeah. And to have to open up Jalen Hurts' and Nick Sirianni to open up their playbook. Miles Sanders has to be running well. Yeah. And when he is running well, that playbook is wide open. Like one of the last, offenses that I want to play against is the Eagles when they're running the ball.
And they have a really good run game.
Like, you have a quarterback that can launch it deep. You have wide receivers that can get open deep. You have a tight end over the middle. You have a running back that can hit any hole, and you have a quarterback that can run and scramble. That can run and also throw on the run.
Yep.
Every single aspect of the game they have. So I would say that probably Miles Sanders would be my go-to for the Eagles offense. As far as the Chiefs offense, who are you going with there?
Well, there is an easy answer, and that would be Travis Kelce. So I'm going to stay away from that one a little bit. I'm going to go with Isaiah Pacheco. The Eagles' defense this year led the NFL in sacks as a team. They had 68 sacks as a team.
That's insane.
So you have to not let these guys just pin their ears back.
Yeah.
And we saw it last week against the Bengals. The Bengals didn't have any pass rush. Mahomes could, on his hurt ankle, could just sit in the pocket and wait for his guys to run their 7-8 yard routes, and they were going to be wide open every time. And you can't do that against the Eagles. So I think Pacheco, and if he's able to get that run game going even a little bit, I think it will kind of slow down the Eagles' pass rush. I just think that'll give them the best edge on offense because they'll be able to run their shovel screens and Travis Kelce will be able to get open at all times. But if you can't hit any plays down the field because you're getting pressured immediately, it's going to be tough to open up that Eagles defense.
Yeah, I agree. As far as my pick for the Chiefs offense, I'm going to go with kind of a pairing here of Kadarius Toney and Juju. I don't want to go MVS. I think MVS is going to be a non-factor. He had a good game last week, and I think that he's going to regress back to the mean this week for him. And for him, regressing back to the mean would be like 3 catches for 20 yards. But Kadarius Toney is somebody that they've been using, at an increasing rate, and he's explosive. So I know you touched on, Pacheco, getting, that run game going helps being able to hit, shots down the field. Well, also like Kadarius Toney is someone that can hit a bubble screen for 80 yards.
Yeah.
And is someone that could turn like an end around into an 80-yard touchdown. So, he's got explosive speed. So I think he's going to be a really key part. He might touch the ball 6 times, 4 times even, but when he touches the ball, it's an electric type of ceiling every time. So, and I think also with, touching on Pacheco has like getaway speed.
He runs angry.
And he does run angry. So you're looking at somebody that could you're only having one linebacker in the hole away from him running him over and breaking in an 80-yard touchdown. And that's a legit possibility. So you have to be very disciplined in the run game. And if you take one play off, it might be a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I think Pacheco's going to be big, but I'm going to pick Kadarius Toney. I think Juju will be big too, but I think Kadarius Toney is going to be, kind of a minimal usage but high impact type of player this weekend. We could see him blow up for a big touchdown or a key play here or there, in my opinion. But going back onto the defensive side of things, we'll head back over to the Eagles. Who do you think is the key player there for the Eagles on the defensive side?
The Eagles defense, it's got to be big play Slay.
Yeah.
I think his ability to stay in coverage on kind of broken plays is going to be something that can really impact the game because we see Mahomes time and time again extend plays and eventually guys will come over. But Slay has the ability to not let those guys eventually come open.
And he also has the ability to ball hawk sometimes too.
Yes.
Find the ball and make a big play. Yeah,
if he can get a takeaway in this game, I think that's going to be one of the huge factors of the game is the turnover battle.
Yep.
We saw it in the Bengals game. The Bengals first touchdown there was that Mahomes just losing the ball, squirted right out of his hands, and that let the Bengals stay in the game. Because if the Chiefs score a touchdown that drive, you could have wrapped it up there. So it's a big battle, and I think Darius Slay is one of the guys that can get the ball from Mahomes.
Yeah, no, I agree. He's you look at this Chiefs offense, it's a pass first offense. It's a pass first, a pass second, and run third offense.
Yep.
And so when you have that, your defensive backs have to be dialed in, and big play Slay is the first part of that. I mean, he's been elite. He was elite with Detroit, and then we traded him for a wonderful 4th round pick, which I don't know for sure what year that 4th round pick was in, but if it was the 2021 4th round pick, it ended up into being Amon-Ra.
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't remember what year the pick ended up being for, but I kind of doubt it was for that long because that was 4 years ago. But yeah, but either way, my defensive player for the Eagles, I'm going to say I feel like it's got to be if I'm going somewhere other than Slay, it's got to be Son Reddick.
Yeah,
he's been absolutely elite, especially in the playoffs here. And looking at the way the Chiefs play, Mahomes scrambles away from everything. Right, and is extremely patient in throwing the ball and sometimes too patient, right? Like there's some times where look, it's first or it's 3rd and 10, you're in field goal range, throw the ball away.
Yeah.
But he might scramble and take a 15-yard loss on a sack because if he can escape that sack, it's going to be a first down, and
Yeah.
he wants to get that, right? And so he's a little bit greedy sometimes, I think is the word that I'm looking for there. But I would say Hassan Reddick, if he was able to, to chase him down and to, avoid his maneuvers, sneaky maneuvers, whatever you want to call them,
Yeah.
and actually get a sack or two. I mean, those are like when Mahomes gets sacked, he rarely gets sacked for like 4 or 5 yard loss. It's normally like a 10 to 12 yard loss because he scrambles every time.
He tries to get out of it.
Yeah, and so he tries to like freestyle, right? You know what I mean? And it works 80% of the time, but the other 20% of the time,
Big loss.
it's a big loss. And so if Hassan Reddick and this Eagles defensive line can make that 20%, maybe 40%, or even 35% of the time, you could be looking at huge. You're looking at huge stops. Holding them to 3 instead of 7, holding them to 0 instead of 3. Getting a 3 and out. Momentum. There's so many things that a sack can do for a team. So I'm gonna go with Hassan Reddick there. I think he has a huge game. I think he continues to have a huge game. This Chiefs offensive line is a little bit suspect.
Yeah.
They're good, but they're definitely not at an elite level that I would expect Hassan Reddick to get shut down.
Yeah.
But you're going to have to design your protection around Hassan Reddick because he's been very good this year. Picking a team here, I know we're going to try to keep this nice, short and sweet. We're going to pick a team, pick a Super Bowl MVP. I'm assuming your Super Bowl MVP is probably going to be the quarterback for your team. Who are you going with?
Yeah, I said it at the very beginning. I do like that Eagles -1.5, so I think the Eagles do win this game. I think it's by 3-10. I don't think either team wins this game by like 2 touchdowns or more. And yeah, I think Jalen Hurts probably gets a rushing touchdown this game. So I'm gonna give it to Jalen Hurts. I think he's gonna be the biggest player for the Eagles. I think they're gonna pull it out.
I'm gonna ride with you here on the Eagles. I want to go with the Chiefs, but I don't know. The trenches is what sways me here big time. I know I mentioned that earlier. So I'm going to stay with you, and I'm not going to go with the Bearcat, Jason Kelce, as my Super Bowl MVP. As much as he probably could win it, if they were giving it to an offensive lineman, Lane Johnson would win it anyways. But unless they have like 3 QB sneak touchdowns where Lane Johnson pushes the entire offensive line or the entire defensive line backwards, and like Jalen Hurts like crawls into the end zone, I don't think he's going to win it.
Yeah,
but
not.
I'm going to go with the Eagles, and I would go. I know you said you don't think either team really wins by multiple possessions. I would go as far as to say I don't think either team even goes like up by more than 14 in the game. I think this game is like close from the get go, and maybe one team can get out to like a 14-3, but I don't think it gets any more than that. Like I think this is an extremely like tight game. I think it's an extremely slow game. I think like looking at the way the Chiefs play, very short completions, right?
Yep.
8-yard completion, 6-yard completion, 4-yard completion, 5-yard run. And obviously the Eagles are run.
Yeah.
So I think, you could be seeing a 23-20 type of score because I'm not going to go 37-34 like everybody's blowing up. But I don't know if there's going to be that many possessions. As far as like efficiency goes, both teams could score on 80% of their drives, but 100%. They could only get 5 drives, because of how slow the game could be played. But you always see a big game. Both teams play a little more conservative, right? It's 3rd and 8, and you're in your own 20. Maybe you just run like a 4-yard pass just to complete something and not try and throw something 20 yards downfield because you might throw a pick. So we could see some more conservative options there, but I'm gonna ride with the Eagles here with you. So if you're into sports betting, go bet on the Chiefs. we are anti-locks. We're the master key. Anything we say is unlocked. So, but that's all I really have. I think it's gonna be a great game, though. I mean, it should be a Super Bowl where as a neutral fan, it's spectacular to watch.
I agree.
I think score prediction. I said mine's 23-20. Who do you have here?
I'll go 27-24.
Okay, so we both have
a little bit higher scoring. I think it's a 3-point game, though.
We have 3-point games on on the Eagles. So if the Eagles win by 3, you heard it here first. If they didn't, we didn't give any score predictions. So, but that's really all we have for today. I know we got a bunch more coming up on the episodes. NBA is kicking into gear. March Madness is coming up. Obviously, we have the Super Bowl. We'll have a Super Bowl recap and talk about the game. But that's really all we have for today. Thank you guys for watching. This was the Sports Geeks podcast. They play, we talk. Thanks, guys.